let's talk lighting. Lighting is so important because it can affect our mood, it can affect the atmosphere of the space. It's also arguably one of the most important parts because if you don't have good lighting, you can't see anything. You can have a beautifully designed space with gorgeous materials and furniture and decor, but if you don't light it well or it's not lit properly, then you are not going to be able to enjoy it. I've been wanting to do a new segment on my channel where we just talk about different topics of interior design, just like we're, chatting with friends over coffee or whatnot, because I love talking about design. I think you probably love talking about design or hearing about it if you're here as well. Thanks for stopping by. My name's Steph, and on this channel I do a lot of interior design, home related content. So in today's video about lighting, I want to talk about how to use natural daylight for your home and how to decorate or design with artificial light. I want to also talk about things that I like, things that I don't like. If I don't like them, I'll give different suggestions on what to do instead. And just some practical tips and tricks, things I've learned over the years or things I've learned in design classes. So I hope that this is an informative and just an interesting video. Let's chat lighting. There are two main categories when it comes to lighting, and that's natural daylight and artificial light. So I want to talk about natural daylight first, because of course we all want to have those beautiful windows, floor to ceiling windows throughout our home, and some people are more fortunate than others. If you are less fortunate like me, you live maybe in a small apartment and you're stuck with one window in your living room or one window in your bedroom, and maybe it doesn't face in a great direction to where you're getting natural light. In my bedroom we have western light coming in, and it's really bright in here, so this is normally why I film in this area, because it just feels so much brighter. It's a much happier, warmer space to be in. But in the other side of my apartment is quite dark. It feels like a dungeon, and I'm constantly trying to make that space feel brighter, but no matter what I do, it still feels dark. So some things I have done that have actually helped are adding in mirrors. And the mirror is really gonna help bounce around that natural light that is coming through, or even some overhead lighting that you might have added. It's gonna bounce that around and help reflect and brighten up the whole space altogether. Mirrors are gonna be your best friend when it comes to lighting in the dark space. You're gonna need to use all the tricks to get that space to feel brighter. So that is one tip that you can do if you don't have those beautiful big windows that we all want. Okay, next thing that you can do is if you have blinds or you have shutters, I honestly would say take those off. I don't really like the look of blinds and or shutters. I don't think that they're warm. I don't think they're inviting. They feel kind of cold and but they just don't have any sort of style to them. And this goes for if you do have really nice windows too. A lot of times you get into a house and it already has blinds, and those can be expensive, but metal blinds aren't adding any design to your home. They just aren't. Instead, take those things off and do nice, beautiful curtains. You can do shears if you're worried about privacy, but you're still getting in, shears are going to diffuse the light and add some privacy, but you're still getting a lot of natural light coming in. Because most of the time when you have blinds, you either have them drawn and you just swivel them so that they're open and some light comes in. But trust me, if you take those things and you open them all the way up, it's going to feel so much brighter in there. So yes, instead of blinds and instead of shutters, I recommend doing curtains. I think you can, have a lot of fun with curtains. You can tailor them to your style. There's so many different patterns, colors, textures that you can do, and it's just going to add a nice design element to your home and make them feel so much more cozy and warm versus a metal blind or vinyl shutters, Okay, so that's my piece on natural light. The other thing I want to touch on is sustainability. If you're optimizing the natural light coming into your space, then you don't need to use as much artificial light, which is going to save energy. And you always want to try and be sustainable when it comes to design. Which brings me to my next point, and that is, of course, artificial light. So this is the other main category, and this is where you can really have a lot of fun with lighting a space. You want to be thinking about lighting from the very beginning of the process. There is a lot of things that go into lighting, a lot of techniques and everything, as well as furniture and materials and color, all that. But if you have just those things and you don't have the lighting, then nothing is going to shine. Lighting is going to make the whole design pop, it's going to make it sparkle, it's going to accent the different things that you've put so much time and energy into. So make sure you're thinking about lighting from the very beginning. So when it comes to designing with light, you're going to want to think about how you can layer in the lighting. You don't want to just all have overhead lighting and no, surround lighting. You don't want to have only one light source coming down. You want to add in different accents here and there to help create these different effects and different moods that you're going for. As I mentioned before, lighting affects the mood of the space. It really can alter how you feel. And it can also direct people and where you want them to go. So think about all these different things when you're designing. Where do I want them to look first? If you want them to look at your fireplace, then maybe you do a spotlight over the fireplace. Or in the kitchen, if you want to feature the hood, then do a spotlight on the hood. Or if you want to feature the island, do nice pendant lights that are going to draw your attention to the island. Think about in your design, what are the key features, and make sure that you have some sort of lighting element around those. Even if it's like a doorway or a hallway, is there an interesting way that you can light the hallway that's not just can lights all the way down the side? Maybe instead of doing overhead lighting all the way down, maybe you do nice sconces that sort of create a texture of light throughout the hallway. And if maybe on one side, or maybe you do uplighting from the ground and it's creating these nice beams of light and nice strips of light on the wall. So there's more to lighting than just putting a bunch of recessed cans around the house. You can really create a lot of fun, different effects and an interesting design with light. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the temperature of the light. The temperature is measured in kelvins. 3000 Kelvin is going to be your neutral light. Oh, my dresser is opening. But yeah, temperature is going to really affect the mood and the energy of the space. If you are in a work environment, you probably are going to lean more towards the cooler, bluer white tone versus like the warmer, softer, yellower light that you would find more in residential properties. So when you're talking about how you want people to feel, do you want them to be energized? Do you want them to be relaxed? Do you want them to feel, calm? These are different things that can help drive the color of the light that you're going to choose. So 27,000 Kelvin is going to be a warm white, a yellower tone of lighting, and that's probably what you're going to find in most residential homes. It just is a more cozy, warm feeling. And when you go into more commercial design, you're going to be finding 5,000 Kelvin in like a warehouse that is like super crisp, clean fluorescent lighting, and that's just going to be really, really, really blue. And 3000 Kelvin is kind of neutral. It's somewhere in between. It's not too blue and it's not too yellow. So just think about that. What color, what mood, what sort of feeling do you want to create with the space? And that will help you choose the correct Kelvin for your light source. And just for the record, I do love a warmer white light. I don't like very blue light, but in a dark space, try doing maybe a 3000 Kelvin and see how you like it, because it will help make the space feel a little bit crisp and more white, like a daylight color coming through versus like a really soft yellow tint coming through that kind of makes it feel more like a cave. That's what we're trying to avoid, is the caves. Okay, so that's it for temperature. Those are my thoughts on what color you should choose. It really depends on the mood that you're going for. If you want that relaxed and calming sense in your space, then go for the warmer tones. If you want the more energized productivity, then go for the cooler tones. Another great tip to create atmosphere in your space is to install dimmers on your switches. And I don't think it's that hard to do. I haven't actually done it in my own home, but I have some family that have their lights on dimmers, and it feels so elevated. It feels so luxury when you have the dimmer, because you can really control how light or how dark you want the space. And I think this is even cool to do in your bathroom for when you have guests over, because then you can put it on the dimmer setting and it sort of creates this restaurant cool dimmer, like darker atmosphere in the bathroom, but you can still have your overhead light on if you want over the vanity or something. But I just think it's an interesting and a different way to control the light and manipulate the feeling of the space. Obviously in the dining room too, it's a good place to have your lights on a dimmer, so that way you can make it a little bit more romantic, a little moodier. Dim those lights down and create and set the mood and set the atmosphere for dinner. Okay, so another thing with the different layers of light you can think about is task lighting versus general lighting. Do you perform a task like in the kitchen, cooking? You want it to be well lit in there so you're not cooking in the dark. And maybe you're a painter, or you draw, or you're working at a desk and you need to have nice bright light on your desk. Install some sort of task light to help directly put light down on that surface that you're working on. And this is just going to help with overall lighting to make sure you can perform your task safely and comfortably, so you're not squinting or you're not straining your eyes. And yes, obviously lumens play a factor into this. And before I went to school, I had no idea what lumens were. I had no idea what kelvins were. These are all random terms that I had never heard before, but when you go into the store and you're actually looking at a box, you realize, oh yeah, this is all the information on the box that I've never heard before. So I recently put in light bulbs that had a higher lumen count because they're actually just going to be putting out more light. It's going to be a brighter light bulb. So that is another thing that you can do, is grab a higher lumen count for your space if it feels really dark, or for those different task lighting areas that you're trying to light the surface of and get a brighter area. And then kind of the last layer of lighting would be decorative lighting. This is not going to be your primary source of light, but it is going to add and help direct the style of your whole space. People always say that lighting is the jewelry of the home. Think about when you're dressing and you accessorize with jewelry and bags and belts and different things like that. Really defines your aesthetic and your style, your personal style. So do the same thing with lighting. Find lighting that really speaks to you. If you like mid-century, then there's so many good, amazing mid-century light fixtures out there. If you like more bohemian, go for like a rattan shade, or if you like more relaxed, go for like a linen shade. If you like more modern, then you don't want a shade. If you want to be able to see the light source as is. So there's different styles in lighting, of course, and it can really help hone in the style that you're going for your overall design. It's also a good way to contrast styles. If you don't want your place to feel totally modern, then go for a really ornate, beautiful chandelier that's going to really contrast that design style and bring in a nice juxtaposition within your overall plan, so that way it doesn't feel so modern or doesn't feel so traditional. Use lighting in your favor to help contrast your style and really come up with a unique plan that way. Another thing that I've done, if you've seen that video, is I have switched out the ceiling fan in my bedroom, and I actually made my own pendant light, and I think that just like elevated the space immediately. There's nothing worse than an ugly, dated ceiling fan to just really bring the whole design down a notch. Change out your ugly apartment lighting for something more decorative and that will fit your style. When you go into a house someday, or you have a house, those are things that you can control from the very beginning. So think about the look that you want to achieve, the color of the light, and find some really beautiful sconces, chandeliers, some pendants, and create a nice design style with your lighting. All right, that's enough of me rambling on about lighting for today. Thank you for watching. There's so much to cover, so of course I didn't cover everything about lighting. But if you want to add something to the discussion, you can do that in the comments below. And also, I would love, like honestly, would really love some recommendations on different topics that I can talk about. Please leave a comment down below with your suggestions. Yes, that's it. That's all I have to say. Like or thumbs up or whatever, you know, the drill. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.